Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Aaron Trevino, and we have a terrific guest here. We have Hernando Arce with Hilco Homes down in beautiful San Antonio. How you doing, Hernando?
Hey, doing well, Aaron Trevino. Thank you so much for bringing me in here as a guest to your exciting podcast show.
Yeah, no, thank you. I know that we had met a few weeks ago down in San Antonio. There
Right.
was a lot of exciting things going on with people there, so I'm glad that we could work this out and get you on the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good to be here.
Sure. So for those of us who who don't know you, we know you live in San Antonio. We know you work in real estate, but could you kind of maybe introduce yourself and explain what you do?
Yeah, sure, Aaron. Well, we do have a few hundred common friends on Facebook. So we probably network with the same people in this business of real estate. But yeah, I'm from the city of San Antonio, Texas. You're from Austin, but you're originally from Corpus Christi. I think you were raised in Corpus, right?
Yes, sir.
That's
Exactly.
it. I did my homework on you. And so Uh, I'm originally from New York City, the Northeast Coast, but don't use that against me. I got here as fast as I could. Uh, so yeah, a little bit about Hernando Arce. I'm a full-time acquisitions partner for Hilco Homes, Hilco Homes is like a boutique wholesale company here in San Antonio. We've been around going on close to 5 years now in San Antonio. And Marco Romero, Hillary Romero are the owners of Hilco. And Hilco is an acronym of their names, Hillary and Marco. So if you combine them both, it equals Hilco. That's what Hilco means. So a lot of people don't know that, but that's a fun fact. Um, so I moved down here from the Northeast Coast about 5 years ago. And just to give you a little background on who I am, I did traditional real estate in New York City. I started real estate before the internet, I tell my friends, especially the younger generation like you, Aaron, because you were born into the internet. I wasn't born into the internet, nor was the older generation. So when I started real estate, there was no internet. So can you imagine functioning as an agent without internet or as a wholesaler? Can you, Aaron?
A lot of writing on paper, I guess, right?
Probably can't, right? So before the internet, there was something called a fax machine, and that was the uh, instrument of choice to transact real estate transactions. Um, how you have MLS now on online. Back then, they were encyclopedias. I don't know if you know this or not, but they were encyclopedias that they would be mailed to the brokerage every 2 weeks, and you put a big date on it with a marker, and they were like the size of encyclopedias. And those you had to go page by page, neighborhood by neighborhood of your city. I'm probably getting off topic here, but this is a fun fact. And find out what house you wanted to show your clients. And so that's where I come from. We come a long way since those encyclopedia books, and so I did traditional real estate in New York for Century 21, sold hundreds and hundreds of houses. At one time, I was the top producer in 3 states. I was driving my company's car, which was a Bentley, GT Bentley 2006. So I've seen the good times and I've seen the low times in my 25-year career. And so that's a lot of value that I bring to the table when I talk to my clients or my wholesale partners in this business of wholesaling. Unfortunately, in New York City, you need an attorney to write up a contract. And so, whereas here in Texas, you don't need an attorney to write up a contract. A lot of people don't know that either. So, can you imagine having to wait 5 days or more for an attorney to get off his ass and write up a contract? That's the true world experiences that I come from. So I'm really excited to be here in Texas, and it's just a whole different animal. Real estate, it's great here. It's a very pro-friendly investment state and cities for everyone who's in the major cities here. So you guys are fortunate, and you're fortunate, Aaron, to be working in this industry with the technologies that we have today.
Absolutely, and I'm happy to be here. I'm just interested because I know you said you're from New York, and in a lot of the major Texas metro areas, you see a lot of those yellow license plates driving around. What do you think some other business differences are between a state like New York compared to Texas?
In terms of real estate,
Sure, just in kind of the way maybe red tape you have to deal with.
oh sure, tape and taxes. There's something in New York State called transfer tax. Well, what are you transferring? You're transferring the deed to a new buyer, right? When you do real estate. Well, guess what? The city and the state has their hands out that the seller has to pay, and it's very expensive. We don't have that here, thank God. Knock on wood, we don't ever. But yeah, if you're going to transact in New York State, there was something called a transfer tax, which was for the city. It was 1% of the sale price. So if you sold a property worth $200,000, you had to pay the city $2,000. The seller. And if the state had their hands out for $4 a thousand, so $4 per thousand, so 4 times 2 would have been $800. So you would have been close to paying $3,000 for selling your home to the state bureaucracy. It's just a transfer tax. It's just another bureaucratic waste. But unfortunately, that's one difference that New York compared to Texas, and thank God we don't have that here.
Sure, absolutely. Like you mentioned, knock on wood, huh?
Yeah, it's called a surcharge tax. So that's that, you know. So yeah, when I finally moved down here, got my real estate license. I'm a licensed agent in Texas. That's the first thing I got. Well, that's a lie. The first thing I got was my license to carry a weapon. That's the first license I got. Why? Another fun fact: I can't own a weapon in New York City. It's illegal to own a gun. So you guys have a lot of things that you take for granted that we at other parts in the Union of America doesn't have the privilege of. So keep that in mind. You know, a lot of people forget about those things. So yeah, I do own my weapons. I do have an AR-15, and that's the second thing I got was my license to carry. I did get a license. I worked for Caldwell Banker for a year because they had the best training program in San Antonio, just to learn the game of contracting properties, which I didn't have a chance to do in New York. Once I learned that, then I got into, okay, what do I want to do? I want to start investing for my own portfolio and start learning the investment world, which is where I'm at today as a full-time wholesaler.
Okay. Yeah. Could you kind of maybe like go over that transition that you made from Coldwell Banker into, developing your investment portfolio?
Well, no, Aaron, that's a great question. Now, why do I say that's a great question? Because if you ask anybody, any Joe or Joanna out there in the public that sits in the public square, hey, they ask you, what do you do for a living, Hernando? Oh, I'm a licensed agent. I'm a real estate agent. Oh, I'm a broker. Oh, okay, great. You sell houses. Yes. Oh, wonderful. Now, you ask that same person, they ask you, what do you do, Hernando? Oh, I'm a wholesaler. Say, usually 8 out of 10 times, they're going to nod and say, oh, that's nice. But then I push back on that a little bit. I said, do you know what that means? And they don't.
Yeah.
It's really interesting project there when I ask these questions to them. So I have to explain to them what a wholesaler is. So I have to use usually it's during a dinner table and I'm having dinner with them or whatever. I pull out a napkin right from the table and I say, okay, this is a contract, right? I signed a contract with the seller, right, for X amount of dollars. I don't close on it. I just signed a contract and then I turn around and I sell it to an investor for a premium or a $10,000 or $20,000 premium on that contract. That's wholesale. I just made $10,000, $20,000 without picking up a hammer. Kind of how I explain it, break it down to elementary. And then they understand. And like, oh, really? And they're like, is that legal? So tell me if I'm wrong, Aaron, but don't you get a lot of that as well?
Yeah, I mean, you gave a pretty good elementary explanation there, so that should be pretty easy to understand, right?
Sure. Yeah, it is. And it's a great industry, Aaron. And again, wholesaling in New York City was practically impossible because of the laws. So when I came here and see what was happening, I said, this is a very interesting business because as an agent, like I just sold a piece of land today, right? And it was with Keller Williams. It was listed for $25,000. 3% of $25,000 is like $600. And now, granted, that $600 is money, but as a wholesaler, you can make, instead of just selling it to a buyer, uh, add your fee on top and make $5,000. So what's better, $5,000 or $600 with a 3% MLS fee, right? So I always find that interesting, mathematic wise. And if you're going to do this for a living, you have to leverage that business as a wholesaler to maximize your profit. So, so that's important. And another thing I wanted to share with you, Aaron, and I appreciate you doing podcasts and inviting wholesalers, because from what I understand, from what I see in this industry, and I've been doing it for a couple of years now, is that wholesalers like myself, we're treated like second-class citizens in the real estate world, right? So tell me if I'm wrong or not.
That can happen.
Right. Why do I say that? Because if you tell an average agent, oh, I'm a wholesaler, they'll look at you like, hey, you're probably scrupulous. You're probably doing things that are unethical or immoral. And, you're one of these, back alleyway type of people that are just going to take advantage of other parties. And so we're trying to get that reputation into a more, collar jacket, like the way you're dressed professional today, and get it out of the dark alleyways, because what we do is very important for the industry as real estate investors. And I believe we deserve a little bit more respect out there in the industry. And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't know. It's from what I see when I'm networking with people. Yeah. And so hopefully Hilco Homes and your podcast and your brand, Aaron, can start bringing lights to that and really give us the respect that I think we're due.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the other hand, you kind of voiced an opinion that someone may have of wholesalers. What's your opinion of what wholesalers really are? What service can they really bring?
Well, that's a great question, Aaron. You ask really good questions. Listen, we're boots on the ground kind of guys. And when I say that, the thing that pops up to my head is this is a young man's game, okay? Or a young woman's game, wholesaling. Why do I say that? Because we're out in the field. We're out in the grunt, in the, let's use war terminologies, out in the front lines, really, and getting dirty, getting sweaty, meeting with homeowners in the streets. I mean, when I started this business, I went street to street, house to house, dropping off my flyers. I didn't have any connections. I didn't know what I was doing. So I think what we offer is very important to the industry, because most investors don't want to be doing that. They're in their air-conditioned office, right? They're putting deals together. Everyone makes money on this game. But what we do is very, very important, because we're the ones actually persons meeting with the homeowners face-to-face, or meeting with the bird dogs, or going out and calling, which is an art. Not everyone knows how to cold call. And that's the foundation as a great salesperson, is to cold call. If you don't have that mastered, you're really doing yourself a disservice. So start learning how to cold call. But yeah, that's what we do. We're out there sweating, breaking our backs, trying to find deals and listen, 70% ARV homes minus rehabs don't grow on trees. These deals are not easy to find, okay? And when you find them, yeah, we want to maximize and leverage our profitability margins on these things, right? But finding distressed properties is a young man's game. It's not easy to do. There's a lot of sweat and time involved, and it's a really an artwork in terms of what we do. So and the end buyer, the end investor who's going to take it down after we wholesale it to them, they appreciate that. They understand the kind of work that we do is very difficult and challenging. But as far as I'm concerned, I love what I do. I'm pretty good at it, and you can make a living, very nice, handsome living doing it.
Absolutely. You pointed out something really interesting about cold calling, about how that kind of, no real estate pun intended, but it's your foundation, right?
Right, it is.
So could you kind of maybe expand a bit on, what cold calling is and how to do it correctly?
Right. Well, it is the art of the deal, as a famous book was written 25 years ago, which I read in college. I remember where I was when I read the book. I was in my city university in downtown Brooklyn, New York, when I read the book, The Art of the Deal. You know who the author is. He got me into real estate. He inspired me to get into real estate. And so once I got my license, and listen, that it's really important that you could pick up a smartphone. Right, the phone is smart. I don't know if the person holding it is smart, but the phone is smart. This phone has more computer technology than when the NASA went up to the moon. I'm sure everyone has heard of that, right? Which is true. So it's a great feeling when you can pick up a phone and say, okay, I want to make $10,000 today by picking up this phone and connecting with a seller. Is it easy? No. Is it simple? Yes. It's not easy, but it's simple. If you stick to the structure, don't need to reinvent the wheel. Stick to the script. There are scripts out there online. If whoever's watching doesn't have a script, I can send you my script. But if you can master the phone call, it is the foundation, because most people talk today by phone. Actually, the sellers are moving to text message now, which is very interesting. And so you don't have to have the gift of gab or the silver tongue to close a deal. You could just send a text message, which is great too, right? Because I love text messages. I prefer text messaging over calling. But understand that you'll have to make hundreds of phone calls before you get the seller to say yes. And I did that as a retail agent as well when I was doing retail. When I say retail, I mean as an agent, right? Well, what I do now is more investment wholesaling. But whether you're an agent or a wholesaler, you have to master the phone call. Believe me, if you don't, and you let your VA do it, a VA means a virtual assistant halfway across the world, probably in the Philippines, or your sister doing it. You're really doing your disservice if you're not mastering that. And if you speak Spanish, is a plus. Right? Yep. Okay. So there's only 8 objections sellers have. If you can master the 8 objections that sellers have, you got it, man. It's trial and error. The more calls you make, the more you'll get more experienced in it. Just like anything else. Just like playing baseball or whatever. But yes, I recommend that. Cold calling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely one of those things where, a lot of times it takes those reps that you just have to get in, right. And no real way around it. And,
No, there isn't. There's no shortcut.
Yeah. It's, but it can be uncomfortable at times. So a lot of people are looking for that shortcut or another way out.
There is none. And you want to get out of your comfort level anyway. I mean, you watch any guru out there that is going to, motivate you, and you'll pay thousands of dollars to get motivated. Fine. I mean, ask me how I know. I paid thousands of dollars, which you don't have to. Whoever's watching the show tonight, please, you don't need to pay gurus tens of thousands of dollars. Your mentor today is Google and YouTube. I didn't have that when I grew up in this business 25 years ago. Hell, it wasn't even around 5 years ago or 10 years ago. All the information and value you can get online for free. Why would you want to pay anyone? Why would you want to write a check to anybody? It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's stupid. So that's important that you know as well. Your mentor is Google and YouTube. So figure it out. But it's out there for free.
Yeah.
So what were we talking about, Aaron?
Yes. Why do you think that most people aren't taking advantage of that? I mean, you even just said how you have this cell phone in your hand that has more power than what took us to the moon. Why are more people not harnessing this technology and using it for, what it could be?
Well, I think, listen, Aaron, we're all human, right? We're all sinners. I'm not going to get theological with you here, but we as Americans are we're in a very comfortable, maybe lazy atmosphere, world we live in today. Everything is on the tip of our fingers. What I notice is that a lot of immigrants that come to this country, and I'm pro-immigration, right? They don't come from the same luxuries and benefits that we have as Americans. So that's normal. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to knock anybody, but you got to have that hunger, really. And a lot of entrepreneurs who are watching your show tonight have that hunger, that entrepreneur spirit, that capitalism spirit. Capitalism is not a dirty word, okay? I know in the last few decades, capitalism seemed to be a dirty word. It's not. That's what makes us the greatest country in the world. And we are in the greatest country in the world. And a lot of immigrants that come here, there's a fellow that his name is Manny Cash. He works for HBHS. He's from Venezuela. You know Manny, right?
Yeah, I know Manny.
Guy's killing it out here in San Antonio. Why? Because he just doesn't take any excuses. He comes from a socialist country, Venezuela, and he has the American dream. So my question is, do you Americans that are born here, do you have the American dream? If not, why not? It's right there for us to take. And sometimes we need to get slapped around a little bit. I'll slap you around if you like, and wake you guys up. Because
Yeah.
I've been around the block a few times, and you don't want to get old too fast, smart too late. Let me say that again. As real estate entrepreneurs who are watching the show here tonight, young guys like yourself, learn from the mistakes that elder men like myself have made. I've made mistakes. I've lost everything in 2008. I lost my hair and my shirt, I tell people. Literally lost my hair. I mean, I started getting like nervous wrecks, and I lost my whole portfolio of properties that I own. I own many homes in New York City and Florida. So you don't want to be the one that is old too fast, smart too late. Old too fast, smart too late. Don't be that guy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what well said with that with that kind of that analogy there. But yeah, I mean, I was I know that we had spoke after Manny had spoke at that event. I was real impressed with him.
Right.
I mean, just the way he spoke, he looked sharp. He knew what he was talking about, and he was inspiring too. Coming from a place like Venezuela, coming here,
Right.
and I walked away being pretty inspired to do a little bit better the next day.
There you go, man. Very good. And you know, I like to mentor. I offer value. I have a YouTube channel. I have over 100 videos on there on how to do the wholesale business. I think I'm the only one that actually goes line by line, item by item, on how to fill out a contract, how to fill out disclosures, everything from A to Z. It's on my YouTube channel. We can add a link to it later. But I like to offer value and experience, because experience you can teach, experience you can buy. And so someone like Manny, who's doing really, really well, I'm proud of him. Uh, if he can do it, anyone can do it. And he has a very heavy accent. And he didn't know Texas from India when he moved here 4 or 5 years ago. So why is he killing it? Why is the guy watching this, eating his popcorn or eating his Doritos right now as we're speaking, and he's watching this on the replay? Why is he not doing it? Right? All right. So
Yeah, it's definitely a good question to ask yourself. If you see someone, that's doing well, a lot of people don't ask themselves, hey, why not me, right?
right. They don't ask themselves, why not me? Or they have that victim mentality, or who knows what else, or just too lazy. Uh, this is a great market that we're in. Getting back to Texas and our market, San Antonio is a great market. Why do I say that? When we go driving for dollars, Aaron, and a lot of our properties, for those who don't know San Antonio, if you're below 410, like north, and south, there's a highway called 410. Everything below 410 are older houses, right? Older homes. And you go further down, they're much older, like 70, 80 years old. Those is the neighborhoods that are very old is our bread and butter. That's where we do all our deals. They have the pier and beam foundations. They're cottages or craftsman style homes under 1,000 square feet. Investors are, buying those up like crazy, because there are neighborhoods that are rejuvenating, regenerificating, whatever term you want to use. Aaron, when I drive in these neighborhoods, literally every other house needs a full rehab. Yes, they're in areas that are working class neighborhoods, but those working class neighborhoods could be middle class neighborhoods in 5 or 10 years. So the inventory is there. The potential to make $5, $10, $20,000 on each deal is there, because every other house has deferred maintenance. Deferred maintenance meaning they need a full rehab. So I'm always amazed when I drive down these streets that are older, how much there is to make in this business in terms of money, as a real estate investor. And the beautiful thing about San Antonio is the price points are so affordable, as opposed to Houston or Austin or Dallas. I mean, I sell contracts every day for $50,000 for a house, for a single family resident. $50,000. Does it need a full rehab? Yeah. But will you make money on it? Yes. So compare that $50,000 price point to other cities. You can. And so that's why I think I'm very bullish with San Antonio's market. I'm glad I moved here when I was, deciding what part of Texas I want to move to. I'm very bullish with the market here. And if anyone's watching and has any questions about the areas in terms of, geographic or what's happening, we have our ear to the ground. I have the ear to the ground on what's happening in terms of trends. And you want to be on top of the trends. You also want to know which areas are flood zones. If you want to buy property, you're in the flood zone, right? So I can tell you what neighborhoods would have flood zones and things like that. Anyhow, so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's neighborhoods like Denver Heights, for example, but what are kind of the hot neighborhoods that you're looking at?
Well, that's a good question. You mentioned Denver Heights. Did you know that there are a lot of hard money lenders that don't lend in Denver Heights now? I won't mention any names, but Denver Heights and Dignity Hill, these are areas that are downtown for those who don't know. It's by the city. It's on the east side of San Antonio. And Dignity Hill, if you buy a house in the right spot of Dignity Hill, the historical part, you can make a really good killing if you buy it for the right price, of course. But those areas are right now, what we're seeing is they're oversaturated with investors and people that want to get in the game. It's too late. I mean, you can still make money in there in the area, but in terms of, it's not the fresh parts that it was like 2 or 3 years ago. And there are hard money lenders right now that won't even lend you money in that area because there's a strike force team that's out there that's closing rehabs because they didn't pull permits. The investors didn't pull permits for whatever reason. And so if you want your project to be shut down, I mean, they literally turn off the lights. They shut your power off. They're actually getting so, I did a video on this on Facebook. They actually getting so, they on the offense that they're going on MLS. The city goes on MLS and they say they look for homes that are new, that have been rehabbed, not new construction, that have been rehabbed. And they say, pull up that address on the city permits. Okay, they pull it up on the city permits. They didn't pull any permits for that rehab. Okay, close them down, and they'll shut them down. They can't sell the property. They put stop work orders on the properties and give violation summonses so that you can't close on it until you pay those. And of course, you got to get them re-inspected if they hadn't have permits. I mean, it's a whole mess. And then you got late fees and penalty fees, and you have to get a licensed contractor now in there if you didn't do it properly, and then the city has to come back and inspect it. You don't want to do that. So there's a lot of hard money lenders that are not lending in those areas. But to answer your question, what are some hot areas? Listen, any area is hot if it's priced right? But a lot of investors have different tastes. A lot of investors don't want to buy anything that's built before 1980 because they want a slab foundation. A lot of investors want the northeast part of town. Why? Because they'd rather just cash flow it, and they know that those homes are great to cash flow. Or some investors want to be on the west side because they'd rather deal with Section 8 and be cash flow with Section 8 tenants. It all depends on the investor. And then some investors want to be above 410 because they rather deal with newer construction homes. They don't want to deal with pier and beam foundations and doing full rehabs. They rather just do cosmetic rehabs. It all depends on the investor. But it's still a great city to be doing real estate in. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I know aside from the price point, you would kind of mention how San Antonio stuck out to you compared to other cities in Texas. What was special about San Antonio that made you want to come there?
Well, to be honest with you, my sister lives here. So when I was doing my research, obviously I was going to move down here to be closer to my sister. She married a man, fell in the Air Force, which is for those that know, San Antonio is a big military city, and so it was a no-brainer. I wanted to be close to my sister and whatnot. But I did my research and looked at other cities, and I realized that I'm good here because the price points are more affordable. Especially if you're out there and you're new, you're young, you want to get into the real estate game, which I encourage everyone to do. If you're hungry and you don't want to be that 9-to-5 guy working for HEB for your whole life, or any other dead-end job, right? Uh, 90% of millionaires made their money through real estate. Right? 90% of over 90% of invest over 90% of millionaires have made their money in real estate. So, and the great thing about what we do as wholesalers is that we do more to creative financing. You know, being an agent was great and everything, but they're really like in their own little lane. They don't get out of their lane. Okay, you want to buy a house with an agent, you got to put down 1% EM, earnest money. Oh, I want to do 0.5%. No, it's 1%. you know, uh, option period is $10 a day. Can I do $5 a day? No, it's $10 a day. It's like they have their own cardinal rules or something. So, but I'm not trying to batch them. I was an agent. You're an agent. I'm just saying that if you want to get out of that, if you want to maybe think outside the box is maybe a better way to explain it. Start learning investment and wholesaling business, because there's so many creative ways to take down a deal, you know, whether it be a subject to, or what, as an agent here in San Antonio, I didn't know what a subject to was. I guarantee you, if you speak to 85%, 90% of agents out there in the retail, they don't know what subject to means. They don't know what owner financing means. Well, I mean, they probably know what owner financing is, but they probably don't do it too often, right? So I encourage people who you're an agent to start learning the lingo, because as wholesalers, we have our own language as well, you know, different languages, you know, as an agent and a wholesaler, they go by different terminologies. So it's great to learn. ARV is, right? What a walkthrough means, you know, things that we take for granted that, you know, we already know. HML, what's an HML, you know? These we know this, right, Aaron? But a lot of people don't. A lot of agents don't, or if you're new to the business, don't understand it. So we have our own language.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wouldn't mind, you know, for those of us who don't know, could you explain, you know, what is subject to?
Yeah. So subject to it's creative financing, and it's legal. Right? Just like wholesale lease options is legal. Some people don't know what a wholesale lease option is. So subject to basically is you're dealing with a homeowner in distress. They are behind, the homeowner who lives in the home, right, is behind on his mortgage for whatever reason. COVID, right? With the forbearance that's about to happen in this economy, it's going to be huge. You know, right now is the calm before the storm. Right? But there's a lot of homeowners that haven't paid their mortgages since April, since May, you know. So keep your eye on that. So a homeowner hasn't paid his mortgage for 2 or 3 months. The bank says, "Don't worry, you could pay it later." Some banks are saying, "You know what? Take those costs. We'll put it to the back of the loan on the balance." That's good if they do that. But some banks don't do that. They want you to pay in 6 months. Are you going to have a $12,000 check ready for them in 6 months? Probably not, right? So what's going to happen is the seller is going to go into pre-foreclosure, the owner of the house, and that becomes public record. Why? Because the lender has to start taking steps to get the property back. The lender owns the house, not you, right? They have a lien on the house. They have a mortgage lien on the house, and the lender will hire an attorney, a trustee of the deed. It's called a trustee, and the attorney is going to send you a letter, like a love letter in the mail, say, "Hey, sweetheart, you're behind on your mortgage. If you don't pay it, we're gonna start the process to foreclose on you." And once that becomes public information, we as wholesalers and investors, a lot of us pay for that list. It's public information, and we skip trace it. A lot of people don't know what skip tracing means. I didn't know when I started it. It means you start researching how to get the phone number for the seller to call, which is public information. It's actually free if you know where to look for it. All right. So subject to, I call up the investor. I call up the seller, Mr. Seller. I see that you're in pre-foreclosure. What do you want to do? How can I help you? Well, yeah, I'm going to give the property back to the bank. You know, we're going to lose a house or whatever is what he's saying on the phone, or she is. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Seller, what if I can help you save your credit, take over your debt, take over your loan for you. And you can walk away and I'll give you $1,000 or whatever for your moving costs, and I'll take over your payments. That way you don't ruin your credit and you don't go into foreclosure. You don't want that, right? All right, so schedule the appointment, go look at the home, take photographs, figure out what the ARV, what the comps are saying in terms of the value, how many months are they behind on their payments. That's called the reinstatement amount. It's probably gonna have attorney fees in there and late fees. You have to get that reinstatement amount document from the bank. It's a process, but if you know the process, then it's a smart way to pick up a property with you could basically buy a home with $10,000 or less and not even get a credit check on it, but you own the house now. Why? Because I've told the seller I'll make that payment. I'm not going to make the payment right now, and my name is not on the deed. Right? Don't be that stupid, right? You're gonna get the title up. You're gonna go to the title company and you're gonna request that you run the commitment on that property to make sure it has no other liens or judgments or violations on that title. You're gonna hire an attorney, which I recommend, to do a subject to. And there's documents that the seller has to sign acknowledging that they're not selling the home to you. You're taking over their debt, okay? And that it's perfectly legal. And they walk away. You're the new buyer. Your name goes on that deed. Okay, there are ways to camouflage it so the bank doesn't get wind of it, that you did a deed change. That's by putting the property on as a land trust with the address of the property, so there's no red flags. Or you could put it under an LLC. But you don't want the banks calling in the loan. And most banks don't call in the loan today. They just want their money every month. So you change the name on the deed. You give the seller $1,000 to leave. Give me the keys. Have a nice day. I'll make the payments. I'll make that reinstatement payment once the deed has been transferred to my corporation. And that's basically a subject too. Did I lose? Did you get that, Aaron?
I got it. No, that's that's creative financing, kind of what you're talking about. I'm just interested also, you talked about agents having this particular knowledge and not really, you were saying, seeing out of those blinders. Why are most people not having this conversation? Why do most people not know this?
Most people being who? Most agents?
Yeah, you're kind of suggesting that most agents aren't really familiar with what a subject would be. Why are more people not familiar with this sort of creative financing?
I don't know. I just think like I said, they're doing well in the circle that they're in. Some of them may come off that plantation and do a little experimenting or get involved in my type of business. But it's a whole different environment, and a lot of agents don't feel they need to. And again, a lot of agents, I think, when they hear the word wholesaler, give it a derogatory opinion about it. And so that's what I think we need to do as professionals like you and me, is to bring us out in the light more and explain that we are a legitimate business, and we offer value to the industry for what we do. Maybe they'll start listening. Or what we could do, Aaron, is you and I can start a reality show, take it to one of these cable channels, HGTV, and we'll do our own reality show on wholesaling real estate in Texas.
I'm in. Let's do it.
I think it'd be a great show.
Yeah, I think we're having a heck of a show right now.
I do.
This is just the start.
Thank you. I like to explain these things because I think of these things sometimes, and I look around and I'm like, I'm always interested in how we can make things better. And I think this industry can definitely offer more value out there. And there are a lot of businesses here in San Antonio and in Texas that companies like wholesale companies that are doing a great job. And thanks to platforms like Facebook and IG and TikTok now, we have great shows on there. I could mention a handful of wholesale companies here in San Antonio that are respected and that do really well. I mean, talking 6-7 figures a year. Right? And if you're really good and you do this full time, there's no reason why you as a wholesaler cannot make six figures. I did six figures last year for Hilco Homes, but you got to put in the time. And at the same time, what's awesome about this business is you don't want to be a wholesaler all your life, right? You want to start taking down your own deals, right? Because you're the one that's first getting the deal. Well, why do you need to go sell it and make 10,000? You could keep it and make hundreds of thousands of dollars over 30 years. So that's the great thing about why I got into this industry, because I started thinking, okay, Hernando, you're 50 years old. You need to start thinking about your retirement. You need to start thinking about your pension plan, right? Because at 60, 65, yeah, you're going to get your Social Security check if it's still around, which most experts say it's not going to be around because it's right at the rate it's going, it's unsustainable. The whole Social Security fund, there's nothing in the kitty. It's gone. It's stolen. It's bankrupt. So that's why I always tell my guys, man, they're usually half my age, like yourself, Aaron. You seem like you're a young man in your 20s or early 30s. Don't wait. You don't want to be 50 years old and start, okay, shit, I gotta get my shit together here. And so I'm always encouraging people that, and guys always look at me and ask me, well, what should I be doing? What kind of investments should I be doing? And I wish someone told me this when I was your age in New York City. I didn't have a plan. And of course, if you don't have a plan, then your plan is to fail, right? It's true. But if I was to do it again, we're going on 50 minutes now on the show. But if I was to do it again, in terms of strategies I would use to be successful in this business, and it doesn't take a long time to do it in terms of years, is the Burr effect, the BRRRR effect, or strategy, I should say, right? And you know what that is, Aaron?
Yes, sir.
What is it? Why don't you tell the audience?
Buy, right? R.
Buy.
It's RRR. There's three, right?
Right. Buy.
Rehab.
Thank you.
Rent. Refinance.
Thank you. That's the magic equation right there, guys. Everything else is fluff. Yeah, you could fix and flip. Yeah, you could wholesale. Yeah, you could do a subject to, which I guess most guys who watch the show probably didn't get what I meant when I went into the details. If you're new in the business, you're like, what did he just say? Listen, it's not fucking rocket science. Okay, excuse my language, but buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and then take the refinance money and buy another property. That's it. You could do that numerous of times legally. I think there are some people that say you could do that 10 times with conventional loans in this country. You don't need a lot of money. You don't need tens of thousands of dollars. You could buy a property with a hard money lender with your company and have what, 10,000, 20,000 in your kitty just for escrow, for reserves. So you could take action with 10, 15, maybe $20,000 and a decent credit score. You don't even have to have 800 credit score. I think 650 and up is doable for most hard money lenders. Yeah, you need to know what the fuck you're doing in terms of rehabbing a property, right? But that's why you have mentors like myself and Aaron to reach out to us, and maybe we can coach you along. I coach a lot of people on this business every day, and I don't charge a penny. I do it for free. So yes, the Burr effect, guys. Buy, rent, rehab, and refinance. That is the strategy to independence and to financial freedom, and freedom is important.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you made a great point there, kind of about people wanting to transition from doing those $10,000 wholesale deals to eventually stepping out and keeping those deals for yourself, right?
Right. Yeah, they're out there. The deals are out there. What you don't want to do, if you're new and you're hungry and you're young and you want to get into this game, you don't want to fall in love with a property. You don't want to just pull the trigger just to pull the trigger. You got to make sure you buy right, and don't get too emotional about it. Say, oh man, I gotta buy something. I need to buy something fast. I want to get into the game of real estate. And meanwhile, you're buying something that doesn't have any meat on it, or you're not going to make any money, or you're going to lose money. You know how many rehabbers I meet in this business that are losing money on their rehab, on their fix and flip, losing money. I've lost money on my first fix and flip. I'll be honest. I'm not scared or embarrassed to say it. You don't want to be that person. And so take action, but you got to make sure the action you take is justified and properly vetted. Okay.
Sure.
Very important, because you don't want to, lose a deal, lose money in a deal, and then it messes up your mojo, man. And then now you got shit credit because you can't pay your credit card because you used the money on your credit card for the rehab. Now your credit is shot. You lost money. Your ego is hurt, and now you're going to give up, all because you didn't take the proper action and properly vet the property right. If you don't know what you're vetting, then how are you going to know it's a deal or not? Well, reach out to people that know if it's a deal or not. Don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed. Guys like Aaron, guys like me are here to help. And I'll review a project, tell you if it's a deal or not. I wish I had people to help me like that when I started. And again, this wasn't around. There was no YouTube when I started. It wasn't even around 5, 10 years ago. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be doing it properly. Just do it right.
Absolutely. You kind of took the words out of my mouth there, just, being able to vet the property beforehand,
Right.
just so you can kind of, see how much it's going to cost, how much work you need to put in, and
Right.
ultimately, how much you're going to end up with in the end, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And again, fix and flips are nice. Wholesaling is nice. But guys, ladies and gentlemen, the money is in holding the property. You never sell real estate. Yeah, there are some times when it makes sense to sell it, but if you're gonna do this long term, and you're putting all the chips in, and you're gonna go on this game, do it right, and that is buy and hold. Never sell. Never sell.
Well said. Well said. That's the name of the game. Well, Hernando, is there anything that you haven't said that you really just like to hammer home?
Well, I hopefully answered your questions, and hopefully your audience and your followers are gonna get some value off this video. Uh, no, I think I covered everything. Just listen. If you're in this business because you love real estate, then you're on the right track. I love real estate. It's been good to me. Yes, but there are real estate gods up there. I call them real estate gods, because the gods could be good to you, or the gods could throw you some dark clouds. So remember that. Um, you want the blessings of the real estate gods in this business, and in return, you will see the fruits of your labor and incredible wealth and happiness for you and your family, and become successful and give back to your community as a tax-paying citizen, because we're paying taxes on these homes. They're not cheap, the taxes, but you're doing your part for your community and a citizen for this great country we live in.
Beautiful. Well said, Hernando. Where can, maybe someone's watching this, you've really struck a chord in them and they want to get a hold of you. Maybe they're in San Antonio. How can we find you?
Well, I'm easy to find. Um, I'm on Facebook most of the times. I have a big audience on Facebook. I have 5,000 friends. And, so Hernando Arce, Hernando. Last name is Arce, Arce. I'm on Instagram as well. So the Hernando_Hilco Homes, a company that I work for, on IG. And I'm on TikTok too, but I haven't been on TikTok lately because of security reasons. But you find me on Facebook, and maybe we can put a link to my YouTube channel if we could, when we post this, and we can get the subscribers to my YouTube channel, Hernando Arce Acquisitions. Thank you, Aaron.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to put that, those links, everything in the description. Hernando, you've been a wonderful guest. I really enjoyed that conversation. You had a lot of great insight, not only on the real estate industry in San Antonio, getting into wholesaling. You kind of ran the gamut, and you did a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And it was great having you as my host. And I'm going to be excited to watch the show on the replay, to see how you did and I did. But I think it's a success. I'm going to go ahead and probably upload it to my YouTube channel, add it to my category of properties, videos, and thank you for having me again. It's been a great pleasure.
Absolutely, Hernando. Until next time.
Yes, sir. Take
Thanks a
care.
lot.
All right now. Bye-bye.